I mean, might as well go for it. All right, so I'm excited for our conversation tonight. We have the famous Shawnee Harlee here. And we can start off by, letting us know a little bit about yourself, what all your accolades, because I know you have a whole bunch of them. You don't want to give them all tonight, but a few of them, just so everybody can have an idea of who you are, what you've done, and things like that.
Great. First of all, I'm not famous, but thank you for telling me that I am. That makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah.
I think maybe what your listeners would be most interested in is I've been to 2 Olympics as an assistant coach with Team Canada basketball. And the reason that might be interesting is because everyone thinks, oh, wow, you've been to the Olympics. That's so awesome. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It was a lifetime dream. But for most athletes and coaches, the Olympics is just one big disappointment because most people don't get what they want. There's only 1 gold medalist. There's only 3 medalists. Mm-hmm. And my Olympic experience was 2 opposites. I can remember the very first game, standing there. Oh, I can still feel that. Standing on center court, and they introduce everyone, and oh my gosh, I can feel that. The anthem, they start playing our national anthem, and I'm standing there looking up in front of our Canadian flag, and I just started bawling. Like it just hit me as like, holy crap. Like, I'm here. I did it. We did it. It's the journey to get there that's a whole nother conversation unto itself. So there was that. And we had a great Olympics going along, playing really well. Got all the way to the quarterfinals, which means you win that game. Next game, you're playing for a medal. We were playing a team that we knew very well. We'd beaten them 2 or 3 times already in the last 18 months. We were up 20 at half, and we ended up losing by 5. And the reason I think that's so interesting / awful is what happens. Why do so many of us on the biggest day, the biggest stage of our life, why do we underperform? Why do we choke? Why don't we know what to do with the storm that is inevitably coming? So that's a little bit out of my background. And that's why I started doing my mental toughness coaching business, because I believe choking is not necessary. I think we can build a toolkit to handle it.
Well, thinking about as a former athlete myself, all the training that we all do as individuals, as a team, that you would think that playing so many games, that you get to the stage, it's what you practice for your whole life, that now's the time to show everybody, hey, this is what we do. And you would think that it'd be not necessarily easy because the other team has the same, practice and all that, but this is what you practice for. So it should be like, now's the time. Now's my time to shine. And it just seems like everything should just click, you would think. But obviously, that's not always true. So, what do you think? I mean, from your experiences of that, why some teams can't, you don't all come together like that? What do you think?
I mean, sometimes you get lucky. I mean,
sure.
Sport's a gamble. The outcome is not guaranteed. Sometimes you get lucky. I do think there's really something to be said that I think of like sport is like a funnel. The funnel gets narrower. So does a podium, right? It gets narrower. And to me, that means skill's going to level out. So if you have 2, like when you're in a championship game, it's not like there's a really good team and then the really crappy team. No, the crappy team's already lost. All right. So it's 2 really good teams, equally matched, equally scouted, equally prepared. Why does one team get what they want and one team doesn't? That's what I think is so fascinating. And I think there's another funnel on that where sometimes you play your best and you still lose. And there's no shame in that. Like, you got beat by a better team. Sometimes you don't play your best and losing feels awful. So we were playing not to lose rather than playing to win. Those are two very different mindsets. And what happened to us in Rio, as the score started getting tighter, pressure builds, we started playing not to lose. And that is actually a fear-based behavior. I didn't know that at the time, but that's what I call it now. It's a fear-based behavior. The fear of losing overwhelms us.
That's really good. And I've experienced that myself, so I can see where you're coming from with that. So we do have one question we're going to tackle on this video, and it kind of goes into what we're talking about. What's the biggest obstacle that holds athletes back from the big, I guess, success, the big win? And I guess since you're the mental one, that you know all this stuff, that you can kind of give us a little overview from your perspective of what it looks like.
The biggest obstacle is fear. The fear of losing. We also know it as the fear of failure. I call these some of my favorite F words: fear and failure. What I teach is that if you haven't faced, there's another F word, if you haven't faced your deepest fears, what the heck are you going to do when your deepest fears are right in front of you on the biggest day, the biggest stage of your life? And sport teaches us not to look at that. Just get out there and be confident. Fake it till you make it. We're not allowed to, look at all these F words. Fake is another one. Feel. We're not allowed to authentically feel what we're feeling. We lie to ourselves all the time. We pretend that we don't feel these negative, fearful feelings. Well, what happens when the feelings are like, oh yeah, I'm coming whether you want them to or not. Here I am. So you're right in the middle of the storm and you haven't prepared for the storm of feelings. I think that's what choking is. I think that's what underperforming is.
Well, I still go back to the whole training and years and years and years and years of getting ready. But like you said, no one really thinks about being afraid when you get to the actual point of this is the big game, this is the big, and you get there and you're like, I've been training for this, but there's some of the stuff you haven't been training for. Like you said, you've been training your body and all that, but mentally, maybe you haven't been training yourself, and that's part of the issue where we fall short, I think. So
very well said. And so my last comment on this topic is we spent so much time training our bodies, our skills, and yet all that's going to level out in the championship game. So has everyone else been training the same dang things.
True.
So what is going to be the athlete's advantage? What if we trained our brain as hard as we trained our body? Because the mind gym is always open. We need to spend more time training our brain.
I agree. That's well said. So with that last comment, I guess we'll end this first session, and then we'll be back for another session soon. So I appreciate your time. It's been awesome.
Get ready for session 2, people. We're going to kick some butt on it.